What's going on, everybody? We're back with a live Saturday episode of Pickin' Six. Happy Saturday, y'all. Today kicks off a marathon of football known as bowl season, baby. And of course, it also starts the Saturday NFL matchups as well. Connor, how you feel? We took a little hiatus for the week. Like I said, we're busy boys sometimes. We want to make sure we get these picks out for y'all. Connor, how you doing? How you feeling? And happy Saturday.
I'm very excited for Saturday NFL. It's not a treat we get to have all too often until the end of the season, so happy to get it while it lasts.
Yeah, man, I'm very, very excited. We got a couple NFL games for y'all, and we're just gonna chat it up about bowl season at the end. Here, we're gonna kind of talk about our favorite games for this first half of the up till next Friday. We'll talk about some games here. We might have a guest hop on halfway through the show. We shall see. But Connor, are you ready to jump right into this here?
Do it.
All right, we're kicking it right off with the Vikings -3.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. How do you feel about this one here, Connor?
So, I find this one interesting. We have Jeff Saturday coaching on a Saturday.
Let's
And
shout out
also
AG.
some pretty solid defenses. Like you take the Vikings game against the Cowboys, like a month and a half ago or whenever that was, you take that out of the equation, and I think because that game kind of skews the defensive statistics a little bit. And other than that, they're pretty solid defense. I see Indianapolis putting Justin Jefferson into a lot of double coverage during this game. Yes, he could thrive, but this would limit the explosiveness of the Vikings offense in the air. I see a lot of this game being played on the ground with both Dalvin Cook and Justin Taylor going ham in this one. So with those things being said, I see this game going under. I think it's pretty high total.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a very
not
high number. Sorry, go ahead.
not the highest on the Colts offense. I think their offensive line hasn't been as good as it's been touted up to be the last couple of years. With an aging quarterback that can't do a lot of things on his feet, I think that bodes well for the Vikings defense. So I think things are going to run them up, not necessarily a primetime game, so you don't have to worry about Kirk Cousins. But I see a lot of this being played on the ground here, under 47 for me.
Yeah, I might ride with you on that total there. That's all good points to be made there. They might have to lean on Dalvin Cook a little bit here. JT is probably gonna. I think JT has a 100-yard rushing game today. The Colts and people tend to forget, and not everybody, but the
Yeah, I
Colts
think
defense.
he'll have the opportunity to go off for sure.
Yeah, the Colts defense finished top 5 as a unit last year. They are a good, solid team, and the team's kind of predicated on defense. Jeff Saturday is I don't think is going to allow them to go 4 games in a row with a loss. So he knows what it's like to be great. I feel like these guys are rallying around him. And that +3.5, I feel like it's a trap for the Vikings here on a Saturday afternoon. You know, 30% of the, 70% of the bets, that's what I said, like most likely the public money is on the Vikings, but 73% of the money is on the Colts. So that'd be like that sharps money, like people are putting in like big, like thousands of dollars on the Colts. So I don't know. You know, I think that I like running backs touchdowns here. I like JT and Dalvin maybe to get one in here. Dalvin can get it through the air as well as on the ground here, especially in tight. If Jay Jettis is locked up. However, you may also want to look at the other Vikings receivers, either T.J. Hawkinson or Adam Thielen. With Thielen's been going off, having very solid games, even with the addition of Hawkinson. So you could see one of them get a tutty if we are putting Jefferson in double coverage, and even so, Jefferson is that talented to at least get a couple grabs if he's going to be double covered for most of the game.
Yeah, I'm looking at Hawkinson over receptions and a Thielen touchdown.
Yeah, those are solid picks. It allows Cousins to spread the ball around a little bit more, which only can serve to make their offense even better. Yeah, and it's almost like having Hawkinson as a treat when you already had Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen. So, I think the Vikings are a real contender here in the NFC. I really do. I don't know how you feel about that, but
On a good day, I think they could be, but then once you get into the playoffs, it's a lot of primetime games.
yeah, then
Considering,
Kirk Cousins has to fold eventually. If we, well, let us not forget that Cousins didn't take him to the playoffs that year. It was actually Case Keenum. So, we'll see. But yeah, I like the Colts plus the points here, and I know I'm a biased person when it comes to the Colts, and everybody needs to understand that. Um, but yeah, I also am gonna ride that under with you there, Connor. I like that a lot. I feel like people are gonna expect the Vikings to just boat race Indianapolis, but this is the Jeff Saturday Colts. So I'm just saying, they'll play to the last whistle. All right, heading down to a nice interdivision matchup with the Browns -3 against the Baltimore Ravens, which I believe is the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley is gonna be the starter. Yeah. So, and this is Deshaun Watson under
correct.
center for the Browns.
It is.
Yeah. And how you feel about this one?
Yeah, a couple things jump out to me here. Like this game is at home for Cleveland, as you mentioned, no Lamar Jackson. So I think that kind of speaks volumes for at least my outlook on the Ravens. Because Lamar's kind of been the one like consistent piece here for the Ravens. And really up until the last like 4 or 5 weeks, really hasn't been that great. The offense hasn't been really picking up much steam. So you have that combined with no star quarterback, former MVP. I think that spells a lot of trouble for the Ravens here. Cleveland's playing at home. Amari Cooper lights it the fuck up at home. So he's poised for a big game. I think his over receiving yards is a good prop to look at for this one. And as we mentioned several times last season, when Nick Chubb is playing, we're all over the Browns.
100%.
And he is slated to be in the lineup, no questionable, not on the injury report in any way. So I'm taking the Browns to cover here. A field goal spread is not much to cover, and I think they can do enough damage on the ground and in the air to get things done. Plus, it's another game Deshaun Watson has behind him from his comeback. So, yeah, Browns are the play for me.
Yeah, worst comes to worst, like he can lean on Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb if he is still not getting it. And Jacoby Brissett has had half of a season of experience if they need to go to him. So they have some safety nets here against the Ravens. The only thing you have to consider is that Tyler Huntley is not too bad. He could at least make it closer than we think. But yeah, I like the Browns minus the points here. The over, I think it's a low scoring game if we're being honest. I mean, obviously indicated by this total here, because they already have that in consideration. I might not touch the total, but if it were higher, I'd probably take the under. You know what I mean?
It is a divisional matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go right into this. We got the Bills versus the Dolphins. Bills -7 against the Dolphins, over under 43.5. What are your thoughts here?
I think a lot of chatter during the week, both on like Twitter and in press conferences, has to do with the Dolphins going from sunny Florida to Buffalo with the snow in the forecast. So I think kind of same thing as the Colts Viking game kind of comes here for me. Like I think a lot of this is going to be played on the ground. I'm unsure about how two is going to play if there is a lot of snow. I'm locking in Singletary's over on rushing yards for the Bills. It's at 40.5 last time I checked. I mean, the Dolphins need a win here. Like
They do.
this is their third straight game on the road, hoping to avoid a third straight loss, trying to make a postseason push. So this is big here for the Finns. And I haven't been too high on the Bills recently. Like 7 is a large spread. They're at home, okay. But what have they really shown us recently? Stephon Diggs has kind of been, I don't want to say a no-show, but hasn't been like the monster we've been used to seeing over the last couple seasons, especially in Buffalo.
Hmm.
That being said, I'm kind of feeling the over here. I think 43.5 is low enough to like. I think all the hype about the weather is blown out of proportion. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal because you could have like I want to say Waddle. You could look at Waddle for a touchdown plus 260. Tyreek Hill has basically
Hmm.
been a shoe in the last 3-4 weeks of football for the Dolphins. I think they'll have and they have a like with the addition of Jeff Wilson, they have a pretty solid backfield, him and Mostert. So I think they'll be able to get it done, keep this game close, and it's supposed to be a shootout. I like the over.
Yeah, I like what you got there. I think that I think Miami covers. First and foremost, I think that they gotta stop the bleeding. This is your division. This division used to go through the Patriots, but now it goes through Buffalo. Um, so the Dolphins got to get it done to snag. They can only snag a wild card at this point, right?
Believe
Is
so.
that's kind of what they're looking at. So like they're still in the playoff hunt, so they gotta get it done. You know, and knocking off the Bills, puts them a game closer to them in their division. So you definitely want that going into the late season here. 73% of the bets are on the Bills on the spread. So like I like the Dolphins here. I feel like people are going to be really low on them after losing to the Chargers and then getting whacked by San Francisco, which we called, by the way. We called the Niners to cool off the Dolphins. So, but I think that the Niners are really hitting their stride. So you can you can't use that as a judgment of how good the Dolphins have been this year. Um, and the Dolphins are, the Bills have won 4 out of the last 5, which I know that's because they've gotten better every year. But the Dolphins are nothing to sneeze at. You know what I mean? Um, you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It's a matter of who wants to go off. You know, uh, Hill's line is around 76.5 receiving yards today. He has gone over that 4 out of the last 5. He's gone over that prop. He's had 200-yard receiving games. Um, so that's been huge for him. It can be cold, but I think these boys get it done no matter what. I might look at some over props for the receiving yards. I'm probably gonna take Tyreek Hill over receiving, and probably take it for a touchdown as well. That's nothing. I'm not thinking too hard with that one, but I do like it a lot. Um, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game here. Yeah. Anything else with that game? Any props you like?
No,
I
that's
might
it.
take even. I
Yeah,
might.
I like the Singletary over rushing yards, and yeah, I'll probably end up riding with you on the Tyreek Hill, at least one of those.
Yeah.
And then, as I
And
said,
again,
Jalen Waddle, pretty good value there, plus
well,
260
either
and
one though, like,
touchdown.
and even what I've done with both of them is like, like with like FanDuel offers to alternate prop lines for you can either make it higher or lower. What I've always done with my parlays is you turn both of them down like a little bit, and they both usually go over because Tua does spread the
Yep.
ball to them pretty evenly, and they don't necessarily need to be volume receivers to get yards. Like because they're so dynamic, they don't need a bunch of catches to really
Yeah, they
put up.
run it up quickly and like definitely gain a lot of the feet after the catch.
Yeah, so like they're like their movement is insane. Um, so how can you not love that? But yeah, I think that let's see, what's Jalen Waddle at? Yeah, Jalen Waddle usually is around 52, and he's gone over that 3 out of the last 5. So not bad. I think I might, if Tyreek goes off, if Tyreek does what Tyreek does, I think he has over 100 yards receiving today. So I might make a little spicy parlay with just a Tyreek over 100-yard game and a touchdown, just to make it a little spicy. Might throw like a
Like
little bit of
that.
like half a unit on that. But yeah, let's roll right into it. After the Buccaneers, what I heard is that they actually got taken off of television mid game last week, if I'm not mistaken. That I
Really.
think they were an afternoon game last week, right? They were like a 4:30 game.
Something like that.
I heard that their game got moved off of television last week, like mid-game. But anyway, the Bengals are -3.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are the Buccaneers out of the playoffs yet? Do they still have a chance?
I'm not sure. I feel like they still have a shot at the wild card, more slim shot than anything. But like, I don't know who's too hot on the Bucks right now. I know some people who have a future on the Bucks to win the Super Bowl got like decent value around like plus 900.
I mean,
Well,
it'd
it
probably be
doesn't really
better
seem like
now.
yeah,
Your
it'd be
odds are
better
probably
now
higher.
because we're at the tail end of the season, but not for me. Um, I don't know. This one will be interesting, like because I'm looking at the injury report here for Cincy. Uh, is Jamar Chase back?
Um, I see T. Higgins being questionable, Tyler Boyd being questionable, but I don't see anything about Jamar Chase. Let's do some
Yeah, like
investigative
I'm
journalism
thinking.
here.
Yeah, because I'm kind of thinking that like it's interesting. Hayden Hurst is out. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and then they're both questionable for this game, so that could spell some trouble for
Mm,
Cincinnati. Honestly, like, the props I'm looking at are over on interceptions for both quarterbacks. I think Cincy
there
has
you
a good
go.
enough defense. Brady's been, I feel like, at least to me, seems like pretty turnover prone. Burrow had an interception in last week's matchup against the Browns. So I think they're both at -114, both sides over and under. So
Yeah,
pretty good there. I think Joe Mixon's going to have to carry the burden of this Bengals offense. Overall, I kind of see. I've been looking at like a lot of score predictions for this game. Pretty much like as total bets would have you lean like siding. Everyone likes the Bengals. All these score predictions pretty much have the Bengals blowing out the Bucks. And as uncomfortable as it makes me feel, I think that's going to be how this game goes. I think Bengals are probably going to blow the doors off, at least with a touchdown win margin. But I think the 3.5 is nice for them to cover.
yeah. Do you think this game gets over then if the Bengals are going to be rolling?
That's my big question. I don't really have trust in Tom Brady right now. As weird as
Which
that
is
is to
crazy to
say,
say.
it's bizarre to say, but like they haven't really done much. I know, like the last couple weeks, I've just been. We know from the history of Tom Brady as a quarterback, he loves his tight ends. So I've been looking at either Brady or I can't remember the tight end two on the Bucks, but I've kind of been his name's escaping me now, but I've been focusing on his over receiving yards because it's been around like 9 to 11 ish, and they've looked at him in the red zone a lot. So homeboy's name is escaping me, but I'll be locking him in for over receiving yards as well.
Oh, wait, for who?
The tight end two on the Bucks.
Oh, Brait, right?
No, on.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the Bucks are looking at tight ends lately.
Oh
It's just
no,
weird
now
because
he's tight end one.
yeah, because the other guy's out, right?
I don't think so, but
But yeah,
whatever.
I hmm, I just it's I just can't see Tom Brady getting blown out like that 2 games in a row. But it's a weird year for him, so anything is possible at this point. You know, you can't go off of what previous seasons have been for him because this is not a normal season. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. Um, I might look at Joe Mixon's over rushing yards. Maybe him to drop it to walk in a tutty. Maybe even Joe Burrow to walk in a touchdown. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I think that the Bengals got it here. I might take Bengals on the money line. Just they're -185, so that's a little bit of juice, but like it doesn't hurt just to play it safe in case Tom Brady likes to make it close. But yeah, it is officially the college football season. Teams are going bowling, ladies and gentlemen, and we're here to chat it up about it. Yeah. I didn't put any games specifically because we're just kind of going to be shooting the shit here as these games roll on. Yeah, we got plenty of games for the next week up until Friday. Um, we kick it off. I think this game kicks off in a couple minutes. Cincinnati and Louisville. I don't know. I don't like anything there. Do you?
No.
Yeah. What we did like, and you said you liked, was Florida and not Oklahoma, Oregon State. The Beavers -8 against the Gators, and it's without Richardson, which I think that was, in my opinion, really dumb for him to call. I don't think he's going to be that high of a draft pick. I really don't. I think he needed another year. It is what it is. What are your thoughts?
Well, regarding kind of his draft stock, I think I've seen a lot of chatter on the internet saying that, like, looking at his game tape in its entirety, he seems like a more proven prospect compared to what Josh Allen was at Wyoming.
Okay.
And this is also Richardson playing in the SEC for what,
Yeah.
3-4 seasons.
Uh-huh.
And like he's much more naturally athletic. I think he looks like, looking at some clips of game tape, he looks much less awkward getting out of the pocket and running for first downs, things like that. The arm kind of looks more proven, in my opinion, at this point. Like I feel like he'll be a second. Like some GMs might rate him as the best quarterback coming out. I wouldn't be shocked at that, given like his dual threat capabilities. But he'll probably go second round. Could like shift early to late. I think it just depends on who's really feeling him come draft day. But him sitting out was the big deciding factor here in this game for me. I'm taking Oregon State to cover. It's 8.5, kind of a large spread. But without Richardson, he's been like the very dynamic piece that makes this Florida offense go. And a couple of years where they really haven't been that great. So yeah, I'm taking the Beavers to cover.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with you. What's this over under at? It's 52.5. If Florida doesn't come to play, it could go under, but I might leave that alone. But yeah, I like the Beavs here. FanDuel has them at 7.5, so we like that. Um, yeah, Beavs cover just, it's like, because they got their guys. You know what I mean? They were a top 20 team in the country for a reason. Top 15 team
Number 14.
yeah, 14 top 15 team for a reason. Oregon State won 4 out of the last 5 and covered 5 out of the last 5. So I'm just saying they're actually pretty hot right now. They're like, their last game was a win against Oregon. So I'm just saying, I like that a lot. I'm gonna ride with you. Looking at other games for today. The Ponies, Southern Methodist against BYU. Last year we were hot on the Pony Express.
We were.
We were very hot on the Mustangs. I don't know if you have any feelings there. BYU, they're both 7-5 teams. I might take the Ponies on the spread there. I don't know with that much thought to it. I might take the Ponies.
I don't know. I was looking at this game earlier. I don't know. It makes me lean BYU plus the points. I think they were just like overall a better team, played a lot better competition. So far this season, like throughout the regular season, if I had to lean one way, I'd be with the Mormons.
No, really? I thought this podcast had a strict rule on fading the Mormons.
A strict rule until the rule is broken. All rules are meant to be broken here.
And this is true. And the University of Utah has firmly thrown that rule out the door.
Oh, yeah. Last time picking them proved us right against USC.
That's very true. Very true. Do you like anything with the Boise State Broncos saying against North Texas?
Wasn't North Texas like 10-1 going into the postseason last year, into the bowls or something like that?
I think they were. I think they were actually kind of hot. Like, this game is. I don't know where this game is at. I mean, Boise State's considered the home team, but I know it's probably a neutral site somewhere. I don't have the name of the bowl, unfortunately, but
It is the Frisco Bowl presented by Serve Pro.
Oh, so we got last year. I remember you and I were just laughing at all the names of the bowls, but
Well, I mean, like we skipped over. There's
did
like
we
the
skip the
Jimmy
Jimmy
Kimmel.
Kimmel Bowl? That's our favorite one.
Yeah, the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel Financial. I mean, there's like the Louisville one was the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
That's good. Actually, I thought it was a cool game though. Honestly, like with it Fenway, but
Yeah, I don't think the names are as interesting as they were last year. It's just like a bunch of companies in like the industrial and financial sectors kind of slapping their names on the thing.
yeah, you like the Broncos to cover tonight, there, Con Man?
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Oh,
Love the boys who have the blue turf.
love the boys at the blue turf. Yeah, we're talking this first week here of bowl games, and I told you I have a special guest rolling in here, and we just so happen to
Uh,
have a bowl, right in time for
Good
bowl
morning.
season. Good
Good
morning,
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 Chad.
gentlemen.
Chad. What's
Yeah.
popping?
Welcome.
Howdy, howdy.
We were just talking about the Saturday bowl games here. We're just talking about a couple of the bowl, our favorite bowls for like this
Mhm.
first week here. We're gonna break down the rest of the bowls later in the week. But so far, he and I are on Oregon State in the points without Anthony Richardson, and I like SMU against BYU tonight, and we might sprinkle a little bit on Boise State here tonight. So far,
Yeah, so I don't feel as good about SMU as you do. I mean, I think they should win, but I'm that number. I think it's going to be a close game.
yeah, Connor said the same thing. He likes
But
BYU.
and Oregon State, you're laying the whatever 8.5 or whatever it is.
I'm getting in
10,
at 7.5.
7. Okay, 7.5. Not terrible. But yeah, like Florida's missing like half their damn roster. It's kind of it's kind of ugly.
Yeah,
So at least key players anyway.
yeah.
That's the thing that's so tough about this right now. I feel like it's very similar to what we're seeing in the NFL, where how many NFL teams are running their backup quarterback
Yeah,
right now, or their third string quarterback, or their fourth string quarterback that they picked up off the scrap heap from
or their
somebody else's
fresh
practice
draft
squad.
pick who hasn't played a game yet.
Brock Purdy, shout out to Brock Purdy. Like it's kind of wild how that's going, and you see the same thing in college football now, where like these bowl games now you have so many guys opting out. You have the transfer portal where there's already people entering the transfer portal, like Will Levis. I mean, you got all these guys who are just. It's like what do we even do? So much of this stuff it's really hard to read because you don't know if the guy who's coming in is like a legitimate 4-star guy who
Mhm.
can actually put it together, or he's a 4-star, but he's a 4-star because he's got some raw talent and he needs probably a couple of years before he's actually ready to really get it done and not make a bunch of mistakes. So I try to look at these for the opportunities where there's some undervalue or overvalue and try to sneak against that. That's where I like in this the Cincinnati Louisville game, this
Yeah,
Fenway craziness. I actually like Cincinnati to cover and possibly even win this thing straight up.
yeah,
It's a tight spread anyway, 2.5
yeah.
points,
It's not
so
much.
it's not much. But I actually like Cincinnati in that one, and the dog catcher likes it too. The dog catcher has Cincinnati favored by 4 points, so went 2-0 yesterday. Had UAB only favored by 3.5 by that, and they were favored by much more than that. So I took the spread and made money on that. I actually sprinkled a little bit on the money line and almost pulled that off. If Miami of Ohio can just get another couple of yards, I'm cashing that money line too. But it wasn't meant to be. But then I nailed the Troy game. So they, covering that little spread wasn't much, but I had them actually favored in that game. So the dog catcher is 2-0 so far. So both against the spread and straight up. So
That's great. But yeah, we were just chatting it up. I might flip on BYU when you said neither one of you like SMU. Like,
no,
for
I
some
like SMU. I just don't like them to cover.
Yeah, Connor and I were really hot on the ponies last year for whatever
Mm.
reason. Like they had just had a great season, so Connor and I were like betting them, and it was working out. But and we used to see this podcast. Our thing last year was always faded the Mormons. Any Utah team we just faded and it worked. But now University of Utah has broken that for us. so we've had to stay away from that. So it is what it is.
Mhm.
Looking at throughout the week, we got the Marshall and UConn. I feel like Marshall could just beat the brakes off of UConn, but UConn is bowl eligible for the first time in who knows how long.
Yeah.
Is that 10.5 too much, boys?
I think it's proper.
Yeah, you think that just Marshall rolls, Connor?
Yeah, I think they could. I mean, when was the last time we saw UConn with 6 wins? Like forever ago. That
Mhm.
being said, I don't think they're not poised to make that much noise in a bowl game.
Yeah. Oh, Chad, we would have thought about what's your opinion on Anthony Richardson as a draft prospect? Because we were like, I thought he could have benefited from another year at Florida if he had one, but
Yeah.
what are your
I mean,
thoughts?
yeah. I mean, I think he's one of those guys who is going to be somewhat of a project. I think, we've talked a lot, and people we get chastised a little bit about it. The Jalen Hurts take that you and I had, because
Mhm.
we both saw it. His first few years at Alabama, it was just, there's a reason why he got benched multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, he was not good. He was very erratic, unreliable, missing throws in some weird spots where he was just, throwing the ball low, throwing the ball high, missing his target, throwing behind receivers, just, very low completion percentage, and throwing picks and turning the ball over. He continued to turn the ball over when he was at Oklahoma. I think he just got covered up by the fact that there's not that much defense in
And
the
he had
Big
good
12,
receivers to throw to.
and he had CD Lamb that he was just, lighting up the world with, right?
Yeah.
So he made a lot of big plays, and it covered up for some of those mistakes and everything. Now he gets to the NFL, and after a couple of years, he's having one of the best seasons we've seen in a long time. So I'm not saying Anthony Richardson's on that level, but I see a lot of similarities in terms of like frame, skill set, the ability as a dual threat to not just be a run threat to score and to put up yardage, similar to like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is on a similar path where give him another year or two, and if he continues to progress, he could be, in that
Yeah.
same vein. And I think Anthony Richardson kind of has that same skill set. I think plagued by the same flaws, though.
Yeah.
Inconsistency with throwing on platform and off platform, and that the trajectory. Like when your feet aren't set or you don't have good footwork, that's where you'll see the ball will sail, or you'll throw the ball in the dirt 5 yards short, or
Yeah.
you'll be behind a receiver or a little bit ahead, and just miss easy throws. Whereas some of these more statuesque quarterbacks, they're easy to target for a pass rush, but they're a little they're a little easier to get off of their platform and have them,
Yeah. And
go
it's
3 and
like
out by throwing incompletions and
it's just
picks.
like you can only the not many players can make a living just being simply more athletic than the other team. You got to add some skill in there. And like you said, discipline, and
Right.
as far as like when to make the right decisions as a quarterback as
Yeah.
far as discipline is concerned. But yeah, we got Eastern Michigan on against San Jose State Tuesday. Anybody have any takers on that?
The dogs apparently like like the underdog in that one. I like San Jose State in that one, but I don't know. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't one I was really looking at, but yeah, I think what are they? The Trojans probably, but it's Spartans. Yeah, I'll ride with the Spartans also.
yeah, we'll team ride. Listen, we'll team ride. Why not? Eastern Michigan 6-6, San Jose State 4-7 ATS on the season, but we have to look at maybe why that's the case. Yeah, they've been favored by 24, 24 and a half, 15 and a half. So that might be why.
Yeah, and
As far as
a lot of those West Coast games too are just weird in how they play out. You got these like late night games that nobody else is even paying attention at that point. Everybody goes to bed, and like you wake up and it's like, what the hell happened while I was asleep?
yeah,
So yeah, some of the, because I watched, because I'm watching how my computer model plays out with these games. I'm watching how some of these games, not just how what the final result is, but like as they're progressing, because I'm paying attention as the game's going on. Like, all right, is this one? Am I actually going to cover this? All right, sweet, let's go.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of backdoor scores or something crazy like that happens. So it's not uncommon, and it doesn't surprise me at all that they failed to cover. But this is a small spread. What are we at, 4.5?
Yeah, it's not 25,
Yeah,
so it's
right.
like,
So it's a little easier to cover. But that being said, is Eastern Michigan? That's right.
yep, Eastern
Yeah,
Michigan.
they're interesting because the whole that we got to see so much. I think it's a brilliant idea that the MAC did what they did, where
Night games.
they started doing those weeknight games. Yeah, because it lets people see those players. Those guys are getting seen
Yeah.
when no one else is on TV.
And the
And
public loves the grittiness of the
yeah,
MAC. You know what I mean? Everybody loves to root for the MAC.
I'm thinking of it from the standpoint of like a recruiting vehicle. Like
Yeah.
if I'm the coaches in one of these conferences like that, I'm kind of kicking myself like, why didn't we think of this?
Yeah.
Why didn't we think of like profiling all of our programs when no one else is on TV, so that now that's a great recruiting tool. Hey,
Yeah.
you want to come and be on national TV every week?
Yeah, seriously. Like
Why on earth would you go to the Conference USA or
even
one of these
Power
other?
5 schools
No
can't.
brainer.
Some Power
Right.
5 schools can't even say that to their players that you're going to be on
Did
national.
you say Notre Dame?
Wait, no, I said some Power 5.
No,
schools.
Connor. What did
No, I said it's a no-brainer.
Oh, it's a no-brainer. I thought
Oh,
Yeah, because if you have guys that aren't going Power 5 or Power 6 even, then at least like you want to run and play your last couple years playing football, want to be on national TV. Maybe you didn't get that chance in high school at a big conference in Texas or wherever. So why not do it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the MAC is just it's unbelievable. Listen, and the MAC gives us some players here and there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, the Julian Edelmans and the Ben Roethlisbergers of the world. You know, there's still players that come out of there. And being on national TV, like you also like from a recruit perspective, and then from like you still get film for the NFL.
Right.
And
there's some talent. There's some talent that's NFL worthy on a lot of these rosters too. That you can't just dismiss these guys. But yeah, I'm looking at their schedule throughout the year. Eastern Michigan's, and they had some good wins. They had some weird, ugly losses. But I mean, we're talking about this is San Jose State and Eastern Michigan. I'm not expecting there to not be some ugly losses. I'm expecting there to be a loss to Northern Illinois and Toledo on these schedules, right? Because there's a reason why they're where they are and why they're not in much better position. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, because this is two very, very different conferences and clashing playing styles coming together. So West Coast meets Midwest, and let's get it. Well, that's what makes bowl season fun.
We have the most interesting university that Chad and I have talked that I'm still surprised as an 8-4 football team when you think about what the university asks of its students. Liberty and Toledo. Liberty +4. Liberty is getting 4 against Toledo.
Yeah.
4.5. Do we like Liberty to cover there, Chad, Connor? Or do you think that Toledo makes it, run?
This is a tough one. Remember we were talking about this, how like I like Liberty, all things being equal. However, all things are not equal. Hugh Freeze leaving for Auburn makes it to where this is a program that is somewhat in a little bit of upheaval. Now, have they kind of gotten over that? Because they played the last couple of weeks of the season knowing that this was the case, right?
Yeah.
And you started to see that as their play dropped off those last couple of weeks. Do they get it together and rally together for one? Because a lot of these guys are that original Hugh Freeze group that, his first recruiting class where he put these guys together and they had a mission. And so now it's time to, do they reach down and go fulfill that mission without him, being there to continue his part of the mission that he promised them, or do they fold like a tent because they feel let down? I'm tending to lean towards them covering this and coming out there ready to play.
Yeah, I like them to cover too. Connor, you got anything here?
I don't know. Before Chad kind of presented that, I was leaning Toledo to cover, but anything's up in the air here. Certainly see a lot of points being scored here, possibly, but who knows? Not a game I was truly keen on going into
Mhm.
the weekday games.
Yeah. I mean, Liberty didn't. Liberty has only covered 2 out of the last 5. Toledo only covered 1 out of the last 5. So and that was Liberty being favored, I think, in most of those games. Liberty was favored in 3 of those 5. They didn't cover any of the ones they were favored, but that's again -24, -10.5, -13.5. I like Liberty to cover here. They bring it bowl season. For some
Mhm.
reason, like in my memory serves me correctly, Liberty likes to bring it in bowl season. Uh, Western
Yeah,
Kentucky,
now
South
that
Alabama.
was with Hugh Freeze coaching though, so like
That's
it's
true.
and that's the part where I'm just like I don't know what grain of salt to take this game with, and that's where we're in that place in college football now where outside of the playoff and a handful of other games, a lot of this stuff is kind of like you really have to dig in to some of these matchups and be like, okay, well, you know, is there that rush defensive end is sitting out because he's projected to be a 3rd-round draft pick or something, or like they had the guy yesterday for UAB, their number 1 running back sat the game out because he's getting ready for the draft. These sorts of things where if you don't know this stuff and you're betting based on what you're looking at, their track record, their resume for the season, it's hard to tell. And so a coach is another another place where that starts to show its head, right?
Hmm.
And like Mike Leach at Mississippi State, like all due respect, like love the guy, and it's devastating that he's gone and that it happened as quickly as it did and everything. But since this is a football show where we're talking about these bowl games, that's one where I don't know how that plays out. Like, what does Mississippi State do? Are they
Yeah, me
better?
neither.
Or do they come out with a different energy playing for him? Or do they come out completely deflated? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you're talking about
I,
emotions
yeah.
of 20-year-olds.
They
I
just
don't
lost a
know.
father figure
Exactly.
who
That's what
they
I'm
all love
saying.
him, and that's the thing we're definitely going to talk about as the weeks come along here as we get closer to that.
Yeah.
It's overall, it's really upsetting. I'll say that much.
So I don't know. So Hugh Freeze is not that, right? It's not that kind of situation.
Yeah,
But it is still a similar, it's on that spectrum of, well, how do they respond to their coach leaving them?
yeah,
Understandably leaving them, like he took a great job, you
yeah.
know.
Right.
But nonetheless, kind of like Jackson State and Deion Sanders, it's like, I understand why you left. However, you told us
Yeah,
that we were in this together and we're ready to go through a wall for you, and now you left. And so are they still willing to go through a wall for not that same coach that recruited them and
yeah.
sold them on everything?
It's going to be
That's the thing that
interesting.
makes it interesting.
And I don't have anything for South Alabama, Kentucky, Western Kentucky. I don't. I don't know if y'all do.
Mm.
Yeah, I know Connor and I don't. Chad, I know Chad has something for every game, but
Well, I mean, I try not to though, because like a lot of this stuff is, if my model doesn't say like, whoa, Vegas got this way wrong, then I'm just staying away from it, because I'm not trying to read this stuff and nitpick around the edges. I'm just looking for something where it's like, okay, this is according to this computer model that I put together, this Vegas is way off on this one. And so
yeah,
I'm going to take a swing at the side that my model says makes sense because I'm getting great money for it, you know?
yeah. So
So,
I'm skipping that game personally. Baylor
mhm.
Air Force. Baylor -5.5 against Air Force. Over under is like around 48.5, 49.5. Any takers
Air
or
Force,
anything there? Air Force.
Air Force plus the
Is
points. Yeah.
Baylor like got a lot of guys out right now?
No, I just have, my, all things being equal, I have Air Force should be favored in this game.
Ooh, Connor.
It's the Armed Forces Bowl. Baylor's not not an
Uh,
academy. Simple as that.
and
Hey, I like that take. That's
it's the
what's
arm. Hey,
it's
you're
why
not.
it's why me and AG like Indianapolis today.
That's
It's Jeff
Saturday.
Saturday coaching on a Saturday. How can you deny him? It's his day,
Yeah,
literally.
and it's just like it's the Armed Forces Bowl. So
Right.
why would you not Take the armed forces.
Yeah, it's not the Christian Evangelist Bowl. That would be then we'd want Liberty to be to be in that game.
But yeah, I think that is this okay? So that if Air Force covers is an underplay then for the total. That was my thought is the under.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a read on how I think that's going to go. There's a lot of other stuff to look at, weather and everything else. I'm just blindly looking at numbers with this stuff
Fair.
most of the time. Unless there's, and that's why I told you I'll put like a little asterisk to the side on my model picks because I'm like, okay, this one's a little bit different because Will Levis quit. You know, like Kentucky ain't the same without that dude, and I'm not, I don't care what the model says. The model is with Will Levis in the lineup, and this game is with him out of the lineup. So throw the model out the window.
Yeah. Any takers on Louisiana Lafayette and Houston?
No,
I'm off that.
I think Houston should cover that, but I'm not betting it.
Yeah. Unfortunately we're in the and then we have Mizzou Wake Forest with a 1-point spread. I think I would like Wake, but who knows?
I do too. Yeah, I like Wake, but yeah, Missouri's like they could make it ugly.
They can make it very ugly.
Wake Forest has a very explosive offense, but because I look at there's another one like that that's similar. North Carolina I actually have favored against Oregon, and they are 14-point dogs. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, we haven't seen these ACC teams like Wake Forest and North Carolina who put up these huge numbers, with the exception of North Carolina against Appalachian State early in the year, where they were like trading touchdowns in the last 13 seconds, back to back to back. But no, I have a hard time just knowing that Wake Forest is going to be able to put up those kind of numbers against an SEC team like Missouri, who they've put the clamps on a couple of teams and kept the game tighter than it should have been.
Yeah, they definitely have.
Somebody knows a little too.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And we will get into the playoffs come this week, but on both, with the South End Zone and as well as here on Pickin 6. Chad, I appreciate you stopping by. Mm-hmm. Connor, it's always a pleasure. It's Saturday. We got NFL football. We got college football. Running back the picks that Connor and I had. I believe that Connor, for Colts Vikings, we'll just talk about it real quick. Colts Vikings, Connor is on the under, and I am on the Colts plus the points. When we got Browns Ravens, we're both on the Browns -3. Dolphins Bills, we both. Connor, were you on the Dolphins or were you just on the over?
Over.
Okay, I like the Dolphins plus the points and possibly the over. And with the Bengals Bucks, I like Bengals money line. We're gonna lay a little bit there. I think Connor took the spread. Yeah,
Bengals cover.
Any thoughts there, Chad, with any of those games before we jump on out of here?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so I like the Dolphins to probably cover, but I actually put as part of a parlay for today's games only. I did it was like Colts to cover, Ravens to cover, and then Bills money line, because it's -330. I don't like that by itself, but as part of a 3-leg parlay, I like to just make that part, because I don't like them covering this 7 points, but I honestly don't like the Dolphins covering it either. Like I think it's a well-placed spread, and I can't really get a read on it, but I do think the Bills win this regardless of whether they blow out the Dolphins. Because what I'm not sure about is, are we going to see Miami rightfully get back on track and start playing closer to what they were doing earlier? I expect them to do that. And I think we're kind of getting trapped with how bad Tua has played the last couple of weeks.
I think we are too.
That this, with the weather and everything else, that there's just this expectation that he's going to lay another egg. And I don't see that happening. But I'm not willing to put money on it yet. I kind of want him to prove himself to me. So I'm taking the Bills to win this game outright. But I kind of like I like the Dolphins to cover. I just don't want to put any money there.
Yeah.
So, but the Bengals and the Bucks, I don't know, man. It's
we were weird about it too.
How much rope do the Buccaneers have? Are they going to be 7-0 11 or something like that, or 7-10, and make the playoffs, and then make their run.
Are
Be the first
they
team
are
ever.
they leading their division still, or who's?
They were. They're at least tied for the division lead. Let me pull it up. Hang on just a second.
Because it would be them and the Falcons, right? Or them and the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them and the Falcons.
I
And
know
it
Connor's
is.
got a jet in a few minutes,
Yeah,
so
no,
we'll wrap it up.
it's them and Carolina. They're actually a game ahead of Carolina and Atlanta, who are tied for second, but they're 3-1 in the division. So that's the thing. Is like
Wow.
and now Carolina's 3-1 in the division too, but now we get to the late part of the season where they've backloaded all these division games to
Yeah.
make it interesting at the end of the year, where like now you get, if you're within 2 games of first place, you can still win your division, but if you just go 3-0, right? Because everybody's playing division games. So all Tampa Bay has to do is win like 2 or 3 more games, and they're probably in the playoffs. So is this one of them? I don't know. Maybe I find it hard to bet against them right now, and so I'm actually taking the Bucks plus the 3.5 here. But I can totally see Joe Burrow is in Joe Burrow mode right now, and you saw, like, for whatever reason, the Bengals the last 2 years started off really, really sluggishly, and then they start putting it together, and they kind of dominated. I know it was a close game, but they really were in control of that game last week with Kansas City for a large part of that game. So, but it's still it's Tom Brady. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think he's the best, follow the script guy that they've ever had in the league. That's why he's got all those rings. And so I still think the script is for him to rise from the ashes and make the playoffs and make a run towards the Super Bowl, if not win it. And I have a hard time betting against them at this spot in the season.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm only to take the money line just for like some craziness. I think it's gonna make. Like I said, I'm not counting out Tom Brady. I just think that I'm giving the Bengals only a slight edge. That's why I like to. It's like minus 180, so I'm willing to kind of lay that.
That trash performance last week is not lost on me. Don't get me wrong. Like but I also saw, like, Tom Brady had Mike Evans. He had his man beat in the end zone. They're in the red zone, and instead of throwing it up top, he throws it at his feet. Like, what the hell? Oh,
yeah.
Did we lose Connor?
Yeah, he's got to run, and
he had to bounce. Okay, my bad, Connor. I filibustered. My bad.
Listen, it's
Peace,
Saturday.
Connor. We love you.
We love you, Connor. Hey, listen, it's Saturday. No, welcome to the South End Zone. No, I'm kidding. It's Saturday. We appreciate everybody stopping by.
Good enough.
I know that you and AG just had a show this morning. I hope that went well. So we got a lot of picks out for the day and a lot of football this weekend. Listen, we appreciate everybody for stopping by.
Yeah, go check out that show because there's some juicy stuff. I think AG hung like 12 units on the parlays and props and everything Thursday night alone.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's pretty big. And we've got some plays that are really, really, if they hit, it's going to be big money. And we're not putting a whole lot on the line there. It's some, little quarter unit, half unit plays, a couple of 1 unit plays and stuff like that. So it's good stuff.
Everybody make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @_Pickin Winners. Make sure to follow the boys at Men of Order and Men of Order Sports on Twitter, and then Men of Order Media on Twitter as well. Men of Order Sports on YouTube. Also follow me and Chad's new channel, The South End Zone, on YouTube. We appreciate everybody for stopping by. I hope everybody has a wonderful, happy, and healthy, safe weekend of gambling. We out.